Yes, you are absolutely right, Sal. Almost went off script. Yes, they did, but for our agenda, they found a way to get right back into it and do exactly what we needed, which is take that L and lose their third consecutive game to the Spurs on this 6-game road trip. Game 4, 128-120. San Antonio comes back in the fourth quarter to win the game by 8. You get a competitive game. You get 4 players with 20-plus points in the game. You get a agenda from us that we needed them to follow. Everything followed suit in this one. We asked them to give an effort. They did. Nice bounce back from the game on Wednesday. But in the end, as many people say, you feel bad for the young players out there playing as hard as they are. But again, it's for our own selfish reasons that we need them to take the L, and they did. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 12 more games to go after tonight. Derek Bodner, Devon Givens, Bree with us, all of you in the chat. And the script remains, Derek, even after that. And we'll get to Tank Watch a little bit later, player of the game as well. And we'll do our prospect watch with a couple of games going on with the tournament at the moment, playing as we speak. But Derek, they had us, thinking about a few things as the game was going on, rewriting some scripts ourselves as we had to put things together for the YouTube and our notes in general. But look, man, we got a good game. They showed some good resolve from what happened to them the other day, for them to bounce back this way, retake the lead, being down 16, get back into it with a 43-point third quarter to take that lead going into the fourth. But, Seth says it's too close for comfort, but they still got it done.
It was. And I'm definitely not watching the Xavier-Illinois game while we are doing the show. I would never do that. I'm a true professional. No,
you're not. Don't worry. You are a professional.
It's a commercial.
You are a professional.
So I'm not watching.
Well, there you go. Well, I can carry it. I've done hour shows before. It's all right. Don't worry.
It's really a weird feeling because you're sitting there watching and you're like, I'm excited by what Chuma's doing. I'm excited by what Justin Edwards is doing and what he's showing. I'm excited by what Grimes is doing. And they make these plays and you can't help but be excited. And you're like, oh no, but we have to live with the consequences of those plays as well. So this was a game where that third quarter was electric to watch.
Mm-hmm.
They're making their shots, they're forcing turnovers, they're getting out in transition, they're pushing the ball, whether it's off of a turnover or a rebound or even a made shot at times. They're running at a pace that they were just not doing earlier in the season when you were built around the veterans. And you're like, this is entertaining. I can take what they're doing and I can try to project it forward. Has a little processy feel to it, and I know you weren't really big on that, but a lot of people really gravitated towards watching young players come into their own.
Yeah.
And now that we're sitting here and it's a lost season, doing that with some of these players, not just someone like Quentin Grimes and Yabusele, who had 25 and 23 points, but players like Chuma Okeke, players like the Brizzler, you can watch, and even if it's not necessarily going to be for your team, you can be like, it is fun watching him establish himself, to get this opportunity, to play a lot of minutes, and try to go out there and prove who he is as a basketball player. On the other hand, they really needed this loss. And you're seeing it now with teams like New Orleans, who are like, you are really going to get into some of the tanking shenanigans now. Like, teams are going to go hard to try to lose, and every win has a chance to be crushing. And I hate that the NBA is sort of set up this way. I hate that I have to sit here with my logical brain and be concerned at every made three, but it's the reality that we live in. And the Sixers owe a top 6 pick. Every win they get decreases their chances of keeping that pick. And especially as we're sitting here watching, not literally right now, because I would never do that, watching March Madness, and you're reminded of the talent they have a chance to add, it's a real tough push and pull. It really is.
Especially when you have the OKC game on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because as we talk about our own personal, selfish agenda that we have just for this season, OKC was right there in the mix with us, sitting 4 of their starters on Wednesday for the very same reason. It just so happens that their reserves plus one of their young star players they were just too good for what the Sixers backups were at this point with the 9-man rotation that Nick Nurse is running with. So they were right there with us. But to see them go out there, and you're absolutely right, man. And again, for the people who said the very same thing on what was that? The other, not the last game, the game before, where they were playing Houston in the overtime game, where so many people were like, T. Harris was in there saying, man, you feel bad. I don't even want them to lose because they're playing this hard. You don't want to see those young guys who are fighting for their NBA lives have to deal with something like this. But it's what we need, and most importantly, what the organization needs for now, for just this moment, as we keep stressing to everyone. We don't root in general because of our jobs, but for the sake of their future, how important it is for us, all of us together, to continue to watch them try to make that push as a championship contender, which they currently are not right now, and they are not until we see basketball for the start of the 25-26 campaign. They are not. But the importance of potentially adding one of these young players that we continue to talk about, or maybe getting that 6th overall pick, maybe using that as a trade bait to move on from that pick, that player, to bring someone else in that they feel can help them get back to what we thought and they thought they were doing by putting this collection of talent together at the beginning of this season. They need to continue to lose. And you do feel bad, because I said to Derek and Bree at one point, man, O'Shea Brissett is playing well. His numbers don't say it like it did a few games ago where he had double digits. But in this one where he comes off the bench in 16, he has 9 points, 4 of 7 from floor, hits a big 3 in that third quarter to help them push it and eventually take that lead. You just see little things that he's doing that you're like, wait a minute, how come this guy was not in the league all season long? The Sixers, why didn't they pick him up at some point during the season? What didn't they see? What didn't any of these other teams see? Now, quite honestly, he wouldn't have gotten any minutes with the Sixers had they been at full strength and doing what they were supposed to do this year as a team that was contending. But you look at a player like him, as you mentioned, and seeing Okeke play well. Then you have some of the others where Lonnie Walker gets 11 minutes of run coming back from that concussion. He wasn't himself. Probably needs a little more time to get back after missing that time and having a head injury with it. But Justin Edwards and seeing Okeke, Jared Butler just going out there and not hijacking the offense like we thought he might after seeing him a few times, just simply going out there and playing basketball. And we saw what Derek mentioned in the beginning of the night during the pregame of how the offense is being run, how fun it is to watch them, and everybody sharing the basketball. Folks, they had 30 assists on 46 made baskets. 30 assists on 46 made baskets with this collection of talent. This collection of talent to have 30 assists on those made baskets, that is pretty darn good, especially against a team like San Antonio, who likes to get up and run. Some young players there, some defensive stuff on the other side. Steph Castle, you have still some guys there that can play a little bit of defense. Jeremy Sochan doing what he does. Also, this is what makes it difficult. But in the end, it's just what needs to be done right now. Just for these final games of this season, we all reevaluate it after they hopefully secure a spot to get into the mix once May 12th rolls around, and you have to go through the NBA draft lottery night with the ping pong balls, and hopefully they fall the 76ers' way. How are we supposed to feel about these players when you know that most of them are not going to be on this team? Some of them may not even get camp invites anywhere else. Yeah. But how, you feel, as we talk about feeling for them, how are we supposed to feel in looking at them and what they've been doing and trying to make a statement somehow for themselves, for their agent, and hopefully some tape that other teams see? Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it really does feel processy. We're like Casper Ware. You knew Casper Ware was never going to be a long-term part of the organization, but you had fun watching him. He gave you a little jolt of energy. You got to watch his career go, and you wished him well for his next stop. And for a lot of these players, that's what it's going to be. Vince in chat earlier was bringing up people he thinks should be brought back next year. One of them was Justin Edwards. He's clearly going to be back. Yeah. And that's why it's really easy to to focus in on him and the growth that he had. But someone like Okeke, someone like Brizzler, probably not. They might get a camp invite, but odds are they're auditioning for the other 29 teams as well. And it's certainly you don't want to get too attached because it could just be the remaining 12 games. But quite frankly, after how lackadaisical the team looked for most of the first 3 or 4 months, I think even if you're not getting too attached to the names on the back of the jersey, You just appreciate the hustle. You appreciate them going out there, being locked in every night and giving me what they have. And right now, it doesn't really translate on the defensive side of the floor because, quite frankly, they don't have the personnel to do that. And when you're watching Yabusele, it is something where he's just going to struggle to protect the rim. And because of that, almost no matter how well you play defensively, like you are going to leak points. But the hustle is there in getting out in transition. Like I said, they did an excellent job of that tonight.
Yes.
The hustle is there in forcing turnovers. They did a good job there as well. And you just appreciate the fact that they're playing as hard as they can.
Yeah, no, man. And again, as we haven't gotten to individual players overall, 4 players with 20-plus points. We'll talk about them as we go along. We'll certainly give you our player of the game tonight, a lot of candidates. And, hey, folks, we might go away from our normal, regularly scheduled, Q dot and maybe go in a different direction tonight. We'll see. Hang in there for who we chose for player of the game. So we'll talk about them. But just as a team and seeing them, as you talked about, getting back out there, running in transition. But for me, it was just the way that they composed themselves to come back and fight. Now, this team, the San Antonio team, they are not nor the OKC Thunder or the Houston Rockets. But if you do look at the fact that the Thunder were without 4 of their starters on Wednesday night, and to get down by 41, lose by 33, for them to come back here tonight to play that way, as we talked about maybe the message not being received from the head coach and all, we've given credit to Nick Nurse for what he has done to have these players ready and available and ready to compete. And that they did, to shoot 57% from the floor tonight and make 14 threes for a nice 38% clip on 37 attempts, to get to the free throw line more than the San Antonio Spurs. The problem was they turned the ball over a little bit too much. They allowed some points to be scored on the other end. Now, look, San Antonio coughed the ball up 15 times, and the Sixers took advantage of that, as Derek talked about, getting out in transition, getting in the open floor, and finishing at the rim. Great job by them. But for them to show that fight that we've seen and we've talked about since all of the guys have been sitting down with 10 players again out for the 9 players tonight. I apologize. 9 players out for the 76ers once again. And for them to go out there, it gives us an opportunity to talk about how good these young guys have been playing, the fight, the resolve, the resiliency for them to go out there and play the way in which the manner that they did and compose themselves, and showing that, hey, what you guys saw against the Oklahoma City Thunder, that was not us. So for a nice bounce back situation, an opportunity to go out there and play, have a well-played game to scare the you-know-what out of the San Antonio Spurs, because they did retake that lead in the third quarter. That's what you want to see. And with these final 12 games, look, the Atlanta Hawks are right there in the mix. I don't know where they are. I think they're like 8th in the standings right now in the play-in situation for, actually they're 7th. They're right in front of the Orlando Magic. Both of them have won their last game. So with that, they are right there neck and neck. Neither one of them are most likely going to catch the Detroit Pistons, number 12 in the Detroit Pistons right now. They seem to have that 6 seed locked in with a 4.5 game lead right now over the Atlanta Hawks and a 5.5 game lead over the Orlando Magic. But Atlanta has stuff to play for here. So the Sixers are going to go yet again into another situation on Sunday where it's a meaningful game on the road, 5th game on the road, by the way, where they're going to have a tough opponent across from them with some playoff aspirations staring them in the face, and a team that they feel like they should handle and handle easily on Sunday night. We're going to see again what the Sixers have in them to get ready, gear up, and go out there and play that Hawks team and kind of mess up, and maybe shuffle the deck a little bit for some of those other teams that are trying to use them as that catapult to boost themselves up and have them jump up a little spot or two in the standings in the Eastern Conference. So nice fight, nice show tonight by this 76ers group. But in the end, it's about us.
Yeah.
And we got the win.
And you mentioned the Hawks game. After that, you've got the Pelicans on the road, but a Pelicans team which looks like it's just about mailing it in on the
last game on the road, though.
Yeah. Of this trip.
Yes,
not of the season.
The trip.
And after the Pelicans, you come home and you have the Wizards and the Heat, who are in a complete free fall, and then Toronto Raptors. That stretch right there are some of the biggest games left on schedule. Probably the biggest.
They're not going to lose all of them. They're going to win a game in there, folks. So if I threw this at you, Derek, since you brought it up, Worst case scenario, what should they do?
They could legitimately that's what, a 4-game stretch?
4-game stretch.
They could certainly go 2-2.
2-2.
I could even see 3-1. These are teams that have quit on the season, and the Sixers are still playing hard.
Yes.
For all their talent, they're playing hard, or lack of talent, they're playing hard.
If we sit here right now, I'll say they go 2-2.
Yeah.
I'll say they go 2-2 for sure. Worst case scenario, they go 3-1 and disrupt the agenda once again. We'll talk about some players on the other side. We'll give our Ace Hardware heating up, cooling off segment as we hang out with you here tonight. Sixers fall in regulation, 128-120 to the San Antonio Spurs. Now lost 3 in a row, and they sit with a record currently at 23-47 on the season. 70 games in the books, everybody, with 12 remaining. Key loss here tonight. Players played well, though. We'll dissect it all and more when we get back right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365.
And look, guys, the weather is improving. We'll still probably get like a little bit of a false spring, a little bit of a late winter cold surge, but it is never too early to start thinking about the summer and the sun. Our friends at Shady Rays are helping you get in the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their sunglasses have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. If you're a skier or snowboarder, Shady Rays has a brand new collection of snow goggles to help you see clearly and look good on the slopes. Devon, I want to see you in those next winter. With so many colors available, you'll find a pair that's perfect for you. If your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by their lost or broken replacement program. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. PHLY viewers and listeners, go to shadyrays.com and save 35% off polarized sunglasses with code PHLY. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so use code PHLY today at shadyrays.com.
Earlier today, we had a chance to watch some college basketball and saw one of the players that we were focused on, guy that's going to be the number 1 overall pick in next summer's big-time draft. And with that, I was worried about his ankle, and I said, you know what? Maybe I need to send him the phone number to Rothman Orthopedics to get that ankle right for him to make a national championship run. And guess what? I didn't, because I don't know him or anybody at Duke. But if I did, I would have sent him to Rothman to fix that ankle issue that he had. He looked fine today. So you know what? Just for the story here, I'll say that I did send that guy to Rothman Orthopedics, because if you have a bum ankle, maybe a joint's aching overall, your back is out of whack, your hands might be cramping a little bit as you run along the drive here in Philadelphia, because the weather is nice, like Derek talked about. You want to be right. You want to make sure everything is feeling good. And if you have to get anything checked out, Rothman Orthopedics is the place for you. They're practicing specialized care, has been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission: high quality, compassionate, and affordable care rooted in research. Research that's leading to new treatments and better outcomes overall. They're Rothman Orthopedics, and they specialize in you. Patients will find the full spectrum of orthopedic care at Rothman Orthopedics. From diagnosis to discharge, they provide their patients with every service and procedure necessary, such as x-rays, orthotics and bracing, MRIs, PT, and more. Folks, I have a Tupperware bin at home just for all of the bracings and orthotics and things of that nature, just because of the injuries that I've had to deal with and recover. But I went to Rothman, so I'm good to go. And year over year, Rothman consistently performs among the highest volume of hip, knee, shoulder, and ankle replacements in the country at over 60,000. So if you're like me, or that player running for a national championship, or just simply someone who likes to take a jog occasionally as the weather improves, you need to go see Rothman Orthopedics. Specialize in orthopedics, and you visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Sixers lose by 8 to the San Antonio Spurs. That's now 3 L's in a row for your home team. They are 23-47, 70 games in the books. And even though they did lose this one tonight, a lot of good things to talk about, including the temperature check from Ace Hardware. Let's take a look at which player or team is heating up, cooling off, With our Ace Hardware temperature check, visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. I went a little off script. I didn't even tell Derek or Bree about this one. You mentioned it, though. Free fall. We got to talk about a team that is cooling off 10 in a row after tonight's loss. The Miami Heat have lost 10 games in a row, and while it appears, at least, that they are going to be okay in terms of maybe still finding a way to sneak into the play-in, maybe just because of the gap.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Sixers are a half game behind Toronto, and Toronto is the 11th seed.
Yes.
So, like, you would tell me, like, the Sixers still have a chance because Miami is in a complete free fall.
Yes, they are now 29-41. So think about that, folks. They were 29-31 10 games ago. Yeah. They're now 29-41. How much of that, of course, plays into the Jimmy Butler factor and what everything else is going on. But when you talk about flat out falling apart at the wrong time, or maybe this is what they want, I don't know. But, man, they have cooled off.
Yeah, no, they're playing, and it's not even like they're playing a murderer's row. Like, they're just really playing terrible basketball right now. Jimmy is an incredible player, obviously. And without him, Bam's had some good individual nights, but he and Hero, like, that's really just about all they have at this point that you can rely on a night-to-night consistent basis. Got a lot of players out as well. But, yeah,
Did Wiggins play? I don't even know.
Wiggins did not. He didn't play the other night. I'm not sure if he played tonight.
Yeah, just double checking to see if Wiggins played. He did. He had 30 tonight. Tyler Hero had 8. He was 3 for 11 in this one. Bam had a double. No, Khalil Ware had 16 and 14. Bam had 16, 6 and 6, and they still lost behind a big night from Andrew Wiggins with his 20. And man, they were in it with the Houston Rockets. And this one was really bad, though. The Miami Heat have simply cooled off. They have a 5-game lead right now over the 11th seed in the standings. That's Toronto. Toronto has a full game up on Brooklyn. The Sixers are tied with Brooklyn. Toronto has lost 3 in a row. Brooklyn has lost 2 in a row. The Sixers have lost 3 in a row. Had the Raptors continue to, they've been playing close games right now. Yeah. But they just rest guys in the end and they get what they want, which is, exactly what they want. But had they maybe won a game or two, things could be a little bit closer there for them, like 3 games behind the Heat.
This play-in tournament is a freaking joke.
Exactly.
Like, these teams should not be sniffing the playoffs. They should not be talking about the playoffs. They should not be pretending that they give a darn. Nope. They are not playoff caliber teams.
Nope.
I know that you wanted to try to create a little bit of fake excitement. It's not working. Nobody's excited about this Miami, Toronto race for the 10th seed. Nobody gives a darn.
No.
Stop.
Here's the problem, though. For a lot of those conspiracy people out there, I'm not one of them, but this is where they will go. Pat Riley is Pat Riley. Spo is Spo. Great reputations in the league. The league is better with Miami. It's not necessarily Boston, New York, Boston, New York, or Los Angeles, where you have to have them in there. But Pat Riley is Pat Riley.
If they get to a play-in game, what percentage of that stadium is filled 6 minutes into the game?
Please.
Like 60% maybe?
Yeah, please.
They don't care.
But if they lose out somehow and still fall out of it, what are the chances that the lottery gods will help out the Miami Heat to jump up into the top 5 and steal one of those talented young players because they traded away Jimmy and all of that stuff? I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a conspiracy person.
Neither am I.
Hat tip, Ernst & Young, class organization. No, there's just too much at stake to even try to do that.
Too much ground to cover, especially with somebody like Flag there. Yeah, with that. But Miami, they have cooled off. Normally we go with the heating up and all that, but you lose 10 in a row and you were leading the Houston Rockets so late in that game. You, Miami, are the winners tonight for the Ace Hardware temperature check for cooling off. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. All right, let's go to the guys that played well tonight for this basketball team. Let's get to the player of the game because I think we might want to start with him.
Sure.
And talk about this guy. He got a little push. Somebody was pushing, trying to catch up to him. We got to go to this guy. 25. 3 for 6 from three. 64% from the floor with 5 rebounds in 38, which was a team high, a game high, 38 minutes and 5 seconds. He was 9 for 14 from the floor for that 64%. 3 for 6 from beyond, 4 for 6 from the free throw line, 5 boards, 2 assists, 1 block shot, 2 personal fouls. That's it. And all of that time, he was fantastic.
No, he really was.
Tied the game high with Quentin Grimes, by the way.
There was a sequence early on. I think it was like midway through the first quarter. Made a nice pull-up jumper right at the foul line. Had a nice deflection at the other end. Came out and pulled a transition 3. And 3 didn't go in. But just the fact that he, felt that he was in a good rhythm, made 2 good plays in a row, pulled that quick trigger, didn't hesitate. I love seeing him, like I've said this a bunch now, I love seeing him step outside of his comfort zone just a little bit, become a little bit more aggressive. I mean, even here, like he only ended up with the 3rd most shots on the team while playing 38 minutes. I would have loved to have seen a little bit more. Like he gets a kick out, quick trigger 3, bang. He's doing so many good things. He's shown a little bit off the dribble in terms of passing over the last couple of weeks. I would love to see him push that more and more and more. Just become a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more daring, a little bit more YOLO. Get just a little Kelly Oubre in him. And I think he can continue to grow. Like he is one of those players where I am now fully convinced he can be. I'm not going to go like too far out. I'm not going to say I'm not penciling him as a starter.
No.
But I think he is a rotation player in the NBA, and that is a wild development for a kid who is, just went undrafted not that long ago, and who, quite frankly, after summer league, like I wasn't sure if you should even use one of the 2-way spots on him.
Yeah.
He looked really, really out of place. He looked like he was really struggling to get to his spots, and without that jumper, I didn't know how he was going to score against real legitimate NBA teams. He has grown a lot. He's overcome a lot of adversity with how much he struggled last year, and he is showing what he can do, and it's real fun to watch.
It really has been. I was right there with Derek after Summer League, and we were sitting there watching him. He would have an occasional game there, enough games there to be played, where you can have an occasional game and say, you know what, okay, that's pretty good stuff right there. Watching him up close and personal when we had the opportunity at Sixers Summer League practice, while we were out in Las Vegas and seeing what was going on. And you're like, all right, he has the length there. He doesn't have the body as of yet, putting that together. And he looks a little lost at times, and the speed may be a little bit too fast for him, even in Summer League, because of some of the guys that he was playing against. But since the players started to go down, he started to get some run here in the league. Number one, hat tip to the Delaware Bluecoats and their staff for what they were helping him with when he was down there, because he was putting up some pretty solid numbers, having some explosive games there. You could see they were putting the ball in his hands quite a bit. The outside shooting was there. The attacking the basket was there. Talking to some of the people who were up there while he was playing regularly with the Delaware Bluecoats. But since then, starting with the regular group, getting some regular rotational minutes off the bench because of what he has been doing with the shot making, et cetera, for Justin Edwards, you can see where there might be some stuff there where you can look at him as not a starter, but as a rotational piece. Maybe not a 6 or 7, but a situational where he gets in the game, he makes enough winning plays for your basketball team as a contributor off the bench, where the starters do what they're supposed to do. Quentin Grimes, whether he's a starter or a 6-man, does what he's supposed to do as a scorer, but you need those other players to do some of the intangible work to make sure that they do the garbage work, to make sure that they do contribute to a W. And that's where you try to project out and see if Edwards can, in fact, do that. I was asking Kyle the other day, I think you were doing something else, you were writing, and Kyle would, and I said, do you see like a guy like that undrafted? Same with both Martin twins weren't drafted, but they found their piece, their spot into the league for who they are, for how they did their things. And I asked Kyle, I said, do you see kind of that kind of player where neither one of them are big-time scorers, but they can score in this league? We've seen it before from both of them. But in this case, while he doesn't necessarily have the defensive chops as they do, you've seen stuff defensively where you like him as a 2-way player for the role that he'll be asked to play.
Yeah, and I still think he has a little bit of room to grow defensively. Like, they have put him on some really tough matchups here over the last couple of weeks, and at times he's been burned by it. But just the fact that he's, I think if he is he can get to a point where if he is your, like, 4th best defender, 3rd or 4th best defender, and not asked to be that primary stopper on the perimeter, he's defended a lot of quick really tough to guard off of screen guards. I don't think that's really his archetype going forward. But as someone who has the size, who hopefully can get a little bit bigger down the line, I think that's going to be a real point of emphasis for him over the next couple of years, and has that length. I do think he can move his feet well enough where, maybe he's not going to be great at getting through screens, but he can at least defend a wide range of players. And that has a tremendous amount of value as well. So yeah, I think he can get to the point where he can be passable. I don't really think he's going to be a stopper type. But if you can get him, like I said, to the point where he can, add a little bit of strength and defend more styles of wings, then yeah, I think he can be good enough.
Defending someone in a pinch, defending a Paul George type player.
Every now and then on the switch. Yeah. Maybe you're not going to be matched up straight up against someone like Paul George or Paul George in his prime, but you can get switched onto him and at least credibly hold your own.
Yeah, but again, it's just about he's getting the experience. He's getting the reps. He's getting the opportunity to go out there and do it. And he's showing enough where you would think that he might be able to pull that off. So a 4-year under his belt. He's played a lot of basketball games. If you look at where he is right now, I checked it the other day, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but right now, Justin Edwards has played, I don't know if this one counts tonight, but 35 total games, 17 he has started. He's getting a lot of reps, man. Yeah. A lot of reps, and he's averaging 9 points on the season, 3 boards, 1.5 assists, and just under a steal a game at 0.9 for the season. So it's some really, really valuable minutes for him right now, and thrown in a spot where he didn't expect it. The team didn't expect him to be. We certainly didn't as observers of the team. We didn't expect this. So for him to do that, to do this, and still have 12 games remaining, nice runway for him to show them what his future might look like in the Sixers uniform come next season.
And it's really that's the key of this part of the season. It's a lost season. The key is to get something out of it. Mm-hmm. We focus a lot on, when we talk about getting something out of it, we focus a lot on that draft pick. It's a high upside play. It's the highest upside play we have left. So we're going to continue to focus on it, but these are sort of the games within the games of hopefully you can get this experience, get him to, expedite his growth, get a better idea of what he can become, and make decisions based off of that, and he's really helping you out there.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We come back, pause here. We'll come back. We'll get to Davon and his super chat, get Davon's super chat in the mix as he's talking about Justin Edwards. We'll discuss that when we get back on the other side. Sixers fall 128-120. They're now 23-47, have lost 3 games in a row, but they put up a good fight. 4 players with 20-plus points tonight. We'll talk about a few more on the other side. Tank Watch, Tankathon Spin, prospect update on what's going on in the games that are being played right now, and one more that ended up earlier after we were done our pregame, but enough time for us to see what he did tonight as a prospect as well. We'll do all that when we get back. Derek Bodden and Devon Givens-Bree, all of you, right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. And we do stay with Bet365. Why? Because we got you some money tonight. Because with our Bet365 pregame picks, we went with Justin Edwards. We just talked about him. 1.5 was his line for made threes. He was 3 for 6. So boom, we cleared that one pretty early. And Steph Castle was flirting, messing with us a little bit there. He was so worried about passing and trying to get the double-digit assists. He was sitting on 8 points for a long time, but he fixed that. Put him at 15 plus. He had 17 tonight. So we were in the money with that plus 100. And I also told you at Bet365 that you could boost that with one more play, adding that leg to make it a 3-leg parlay for a 30% profit boost. I hope you did that, and I hope you hit at Bet365. It's the easiest app to follow and use on your phone, having over 90 million users worldwide. I hope you're one of us, but if you have not and you don't really know about it, they have live streams of 780,000 events a year, early payout offers across the NBA and the NHL, as well as the pioneering the live in-game betting overall and offering the widest range of games and markets available for the live in-game betting across 78 sports. So here's what you have for new customers now getting $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Win or lose. That's right. You said, what, Devon? Win or lose? Yes, win or lose. Sign up. Use the code PHLY365. Deposit $10. Place a bet for $5, and you get $150 in bonus bets. Again, That is win or lose. Tomorrow, we are off. So let me tell you about Slam Dunk Saturdays. Place qualifying parlay bets totaling $20 or more on Saturday's NBA games and get up to $25 in bonus bets there as well. Terms and conditions certainly do apply. So sign up, become a member, use code PHLY365. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Guys, finances can be messy and confusing. Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. It's more than your average budgeting app. Monarch Money is a complete financial command center for your accounts, investments, and goals. Start managing your finances to build the life you actually want. Monarch Money makes managing money simple, even for busy lives. With all your accounts, credit cards, and investments in one place, you'll always know where your money stands without the hassle. Track your spending, savings, and investment effortlessly so you can focus on what matters most, making the biggest life goals a reality. Named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025 and the top recommended personal finance app by users and experts with over 30,000 five-star reviews. Financial stress is one of the top reasons relationships fall apart. Monarch Money makes money conversations easier. Get control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code PHLY at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code PHLY.
Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Speaking of Bet365, you dapped me up. Jess says, got me a win tonight.
There you go.
There you go. Some money, Jess. You know,
I feel like I give you a hard time when you miss. So I got to at least congratulate you when you win.
82 games, right? I'm not going to have them all right. I'm not going to hit bat 1,000 on these, but we've been doing pretty good. We've been rolling a little bit. So let's see if we can keep it going on Saturday. I don't have anything for tonight, college basketball, or tomorrow. I'm staying away. I'm taking a break until Sunday ahead of the Sixers and the Hawks game. All right, for the Sixers to, again, try to duplicate and win on the road against the Atlanta Hawks, you're going to continue to need the performances like you got tonight. You may not get four players once again with 20-plus points. We mentioned Edwards. Quentin Grimes kept it up. He had a double-double with 25, tying Edwards for the game high. 10 assists for Quentin Grimes. Not a lead guard, but he's still looking to pass the basketball. Had 5 turnovers. We know that's going to happen with him because sometimes he goes a little bit too fast. He speeds up a bit, gets a little out of control with it, but he did it again. 50% from the floor, 4 for 11 from beyond with those 10 assists to go along with it. But it wasn't just him. We know what he does. My man, relax. You're going to make your money. You're going to get your money. We already know what's happening. Yabusele, nice bounce back game. Yep. 23-9, 11 for 16. He was getting guys deep with post position, backing them down. We're looking at all three of us looking at each other like, yeah, that guy's too small. Even if it's Sochan or anybody else, too small. And he did exactly that. He put the ball into the basket. He also had 9 boards. We've been critical of him for not rebounding the basketball. And while they have a smaller lineup opposite him, he got the 9 boards. So 23-9 for Yabusele, not in foul trouble at all. Just under 38 minutes. Really good again. Yeah.
No, in terms of Quentin, he's not a prototypical lead guard by any stretch. But, I think his shooting has gotten a lot of the focus here over this run, and well-deserved. Like, he shot, again, 4 for 11 from 3. He is shooting the ever-living heck out of the ball. But he also puts a lot of pressure on the rim. And he does 2 things really well with that. First of all, he keeps his head up, and he's able to make those dump-off passes or kick-out passes when they're there. Again, not necessarily the most creative passes in the world, but a lot of people, especially people who aren't accustomed to being a lead guard, will drive with their head down, and they're going only for that shot. He's not like that. And because he can't put pressure on the rim, he gets those kick-outs and those dump-offs. And 2, he goes up real strong. Like, he initiates contact, he lowers his shoulder, creates space, and finishes through contact really well. And he's strong, and he's relatively explosive around the rim, and he's able to get the free throw line because of that at times. And that's a skill that I think is going to translate really well when a lot of your, I want to say big 3, but like who knows how many
regulars are there.
When your regulars are more there and he's playing a more complementary role, like he should be cutting all the time. He should be using the threat of his shot to attack off the dribble when those closeouts come, and I think he can do that. And that's, like I said, in part because he is able to make plays off of those drives, and in part because he is able to initiate contact and really finish at the rim. I'm really excited to see how he fits, like I said, this is a team where because you have Embiid and Paul George, you're going to need someone who can really step up and ramp up their usage and become a 1 or 2 option when the time calls for it. But you also need a guy who can then, slide to that 3rd or 4th role offensively and being able to make that open catch and shoot 3 and also be able to make plays off the bounce. It's going to be huge for him.
Yep, absolutely. X-Man says Grimes is hooping for that bag.
Yes, sir.
He's already got it. That's why we keep saying, settle down, my man.
Yeah, he could be shut down now, and he's getting a really good contract offer.
Yes, he is.
Not that I'm suggesting he be shut down.
No, not at all.
It would help. You can't really do that for a pending free agent, but he could be shut down now and still get a really good offer.
Not at all. Not at all.
No, we would never do that.
By the way, do you realize when we had that little pep talk with him at the Sixers Gala, the Youth Gala? By the way, it was a great time, great thing that they always do there with the Sixers Youth Gala. It was after the All-Star break, they lose to Brooklyn, all that. All those guys were in great spirits. We had that conversation with him. He's been on fire since. Yeah. So I think we credit us for the Quentin Grimes resurgence here for what he has done this second part of the season. It was because of us, everybody.
It's always us.
Yes, the agenda.
Yeah.
The agenda, yes.
We are the most important people on this show.
No doubt, no doubt. By the way, he was cool to talk to.
He was. He seems like a good guy.
And you know what? Just to kind of take everybody into that night when we were talking to him, he was like, you know what? We see some little things there. We just got to get it together. We have to string some things together to make sure that we pick up the W's. We're in there. He was talking about how the Brooklyn game played out the way that it did. The game before was the Raptors with the back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday. But he was like, we just got to put these things together, string these things together to make sure it plays out the way that we need it to. And he has been phenomenal since that time.
And this really was like the quintessential Guerschon game.
Yes.
He is so much better offensively at the 5. So much better. In part because he legitimately spaces the floor and you can play that pick and pop game. And in part because if you put a smaller player on him that's maybe try to defend out on the perimeter, he can go post you up.
Mm-hmm.
And he was real good. He didn't really make shots from the perimeter, but he was getting that work inside. He was attacking off the dribble a little bit. He was being that connected passer that we know he can be, and that was really, it was really glaring earlier in the season when we thought the season still mattered, how much better the ball moved when he was on the floor rather than someone like Andre Drummond. But this game also showed he has no chance at defending the rim. None at all. And you're always going to bleed points when he's at the 5. And that's really the conundrum. Like a lot of people have asked, well, why does it seem like you've soured a little bit on Guerschon Yabusele? 2 reasons. One, bringing him back from more than that taxpayer mid-level means you're going to be hard capped. Mm-hmm. And with Quentin Grimes' explosion, like that's going to be real tough to navigate. I have an article from last week that details that. Go to allphly.com and you can read that. But number 2 is because it's become more and more clear that his best offensive position is far and away the 5, but has no real chance of defending that 5 spot. It's a really tough. I love watching when he is on. I love watching what he can do offensively. It's not just the shooting. It's not just the individual scoring. It's the ball movement. I've always wanted a center who can sort of do that and promote ball movement and increase your best players. And I think he does that, and the spacing he provides does that, but he just has no chance defending the 5. It's really a shame.
But you know what? As we keep talking about all of this is if Embiid, Maxey, and George are themselves next year. And Embiid, we think, will still take a little bit of a step back from what we're accustomed to seeing from him for the very reason that we all know, the injuries and such. But the Yabusele piece is much, much easier, as we know, if those guys are there. If he's playing in the role that you're asking him to, but has them out there on the floor, he's not that bad. Even in that 5 spot and that role, he's not that bad as a backup 5. If that's what they lean on, he bonus situationally, that kind of thing. He's not that bad if Maxey and George are doing their jobs.
No, if you have Joel Embiid playing 55 to 65 games, then I think you go, okay, well, we can have an inexperienced big man, like a traditional rim protector in Bona, and we can have a change of pace big man in Yabusele. I think that's great. I love the diversity
and
of options.
And a one deeper down the bench as a situational player as well.
But if Joel Embiid plays 20, 30 games, the next thing you know, like you're relying on a center spot that's only a inexperienced Bona, and then all of a sudden you need 30 minutes per night at the 5 with Yabusele. That's where he becomes a real problem defensively. And like I said, a hard cap situation with the aprons and whatnot, that really like if you could tell me he was going to be a 20-minute per game player next year and back on the taxpayer mid-level, I would be thrilled to bring him back. Absolutely thrilled.
What's that, like a three-year contract?
3-year contract starting at like $5.5 million or something like that. But when you start talking about, well, we have to rely on him a little more or we have to hard cap ourselves because of it, that's when those limitations become a concern for me. But that's like an off-season conversation.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. One more before we get to the Super Chats. Phil Evans in the chat saying, going back to Grimes, Derek, Grimes is not a lead guard. He's going to have 6 turnovers. Y'all ain't treat Maxey like that. Oh, we absolutely did. When Maxey would turn the basketball over, Phil, we were on him. There was a stretch there for like a week and a half where we were getting yelled at for being so difficult, so tough on
First of all,
Maxey.
That's true. Rich specifically was getting yelled at a lot for being tough on Maxey. I don't know what podcast you're watching, but we were definitely tough on Maxey. But also Maxey just doesn't turn the ball. Like he had that one little spurt, but he doesn't really turn the ball over much at all. If anything, I'd love to see him take more risks.
And honestly, Phil, we've said it. Grimes is a 2-guard, period. Yeah. It's good to see him getting this experience as a lead guard because they need he's the best player out there. Easily. He's the best player out there. But we've been on him. We've been on him, Phil. Don't worry about it. We got it. We on him. We on him. We said it tonight. He's got four turnovers in tonight's game. They might have won had he not turned because he gets sped up sometimes. He gets a little bit out of control, even though he keeps his head up. Sometimes he puts himself in those tough spots where he turns the ball over. Appreciate it as always, Phil. Let's get to the Super Chats. Then we'll get to the Tank Watch. We'll get to the Prospect Watch. And we'll get to the Tankathon spin here tonight on the postgame show. Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats, going back to the Justin Edwards conversation, player of the game. I don't care about the 25 and 10 from Grimes. He's also had 6 turnovers. As we just discussed, you and Phil are on it with the 6 turnovers. Davon, no worries. We gave him the player of the game.
Yep. And look, part of
well-deserved.
Part of that is because Quentin's been getting a lot of player of the games lately. Part of it's because we're excited to see Justin's growth.
Yeah.
Part of it's also that he was just really good for, I think Justin was more consistent throughout the game, whereas Quentin sort of picked it up later. But they both played well. You could pick either one. Yeah,
and even though they didn't credit him for a steal, he had one of those plays late in the game. He disrupted the whole thing, and he got a dunk the other way, pretty much, uncontested dunk the other way. They didn't give him credit for the steal, but a lot of that was because of his ball pressure and what he did there of getting an opportunity like that. So, yes, we agree with you, Davon. Absolutely well-deserved, and he got it. Player of the game tonight for us 3 here on the show. We also have Riaz with the Super Chat checking in where Riaz says, let me see. By the way, Attila says, it's my fault if Quentin Grimes wins them too many games because it's my fault. Derek's fault, too. He was there that night.
It was all him. I only take credit for my victories, never my defeats.
Riaz says that, guys, real fast. Guys, what do you think the market is for Paul George this summer with teams like the Hawks and Suns be interested in Paul George? Would Morey do the best to move Paul George this summer, do his best?
This is something where, we wanted Paul to sit in part because with that pinky, he just wasn't playing well. But in part because they needed to lose games. But one of the downsides is that, if Paul had a chance to come back, even if it wasn't a long stretch, let's say he came back last week of March, played 3 weeks of basketball, but showed that he was back from his injuries, the knee wasn't bothering him anymore, pinky wasn't bothering him, you might have a better chance. I would be a little surprised if any team was aggressively pursuing Paul this summer. Mm-hmm. I think it's probably more likely that he comes back, plays good basketball to start the season, and then maybe Daryl has a chance, or whoever the GM is, has a chance to, maybe shop then. I would be surprised, because this feels like the real nadir of his value. I would be surprised if they try to trade him now, because I don't think Daryl would look at it as like, I just need to get off this contract, because even if you get off that contract, you're still over the cap or right up at it. You don't really have a ton of flexibility. Mm-hmm. I think Daryl actually needs something meaningful back.
I agree with him. Not good enough this year to try to move him. So you're going to have to get used to him in that Sixers uniform. Hope he bounces back next season and things are a little bit different for Paul George and the Sixers next year. All right, let's get moving on some of our other things that we focus on at the end of the show. Let's start off, Bree, with the Tank Watch as we have our helmets on. tonight at the very start. Tank Watch. There was really only one game tonight, and that was the New Orleans Pelicans, and they got rocked tonight. Rocked.
So, like, I do a thing where I tweet out all of the important games for the day. I am taking the Pelicans off of my own personal Tank Watch. They're done. They're dead. They're dead. They're just too good.
41?
Too good at losing.
I think it was 41 that they lost tonight. Who'd they lose to?
Who did they play?
Who'd they lose
I tweeted
to,
out
Bree?
this morning, and then I completely forgot.
Yeah.
And then I saw they were getting crushed, and I didn't follow up.
I got it right here.
Timberwolves.
Timberwolves.
Who they beat recently, didn't they?
Yeah.
Crushed.
So they crushed them. So Boston's beating Utah right now. Cleveland is losing to Phoenix at the moment, by the way. They had 15 wins in a row, something like that, Cleveland. They've now lost 3 games in a row. Maybe 4 tonight because they're losing to Phoenix in the middle of the third. Denver is leading the Portland Trailblazers by 5 in Portland. So that's one that we have talked about as well. Miami, we mentioned already for what they have done as we go along. OKC blew out Charlotte as well, and Dallas beat Detroit. How about that? Dallas beat Detroit tonight. So what's important for Tank Watch since we are off tomorrow? Tomorrow, the Brooklyn Nets face the Indiana Pacers again. They lost a close game yesterday to the Indiana Pacers, got into a little scuffle.
They are such a tease. They play well for the first 3 quarters and then get smoked.
They had like 3 games in a row against Boston where they were right there in it and losing at the end. Close winning with Indiana yesterday, and they have the Pacers again tomorrow on the road. So keep an eye on Brooklyn tomorrow while you're watching all the college hoops. Atlanta, not because of the Tank Watch, because it's the first night of a back-to-back for them while both are at home. They host the Golden State Warriors, who are hot.
We need them to rest everyone against Golden State so they're fresh against the Sixers.
And Golden State is still hot.
Yeah.
Hot. So that's one to watch. Chicago plays Los Angeles, but Chicago is way out of the mix now. You can't catch them anymore for the Tank Watch. That's Tank Watch tonight. Tank Watch, as always, is brought to you by our Tank helmets. That's it. That's it. All right, we move along to the games right now in college basketball. It's time for Prospect Watch. So we got Tank Watch, Prospect Watch. Let's get an update on Prospect Watch. Oh, Derek Queen out there getting it done for the Maryland Terps, where the coach is ticked off. Coach Willard is upset. Villanova fans are watching, wondering if you're going to get Kevin, Coach Willard. I don't know about that, especially if they make a deep run. He might stay there, and their AD moves on because he was calling him out. It was a wonderful press conference. If you haven't seen it, go find Kevin Willard in that press conference calling out his AD, talking about, he's going to visit school such and such, telling you where he is. I think it's like SMU or something. It's like, what the hell is going on here? But anyway, Derek Queen has been talked about. His range, Derek, is like from 5 to 10.
Yeah.
5 to 9 for Derek Queen. Fantastic center. Really, really talented. The long sleeves bother me, but he goes out there and he hoops. He gets it done. And tonight, 81-49 in their win. No problem with Grand Canyon. But Queen had 12, 15 boards. He was 4 for 9 in 33 minutes. Easy work tonight. So again, as you said, the stats don't necessarily tell the story because we know he's a top 10 pick. It's just about how high, how low he will go, where he fits. Could he be a potential pick for the Sixers and all? But Derek Queen tonight just doing his part to help them win the game.
Devastated for the Colangelos. Big loss for Grand Canyon. Just a heartbreaker.
You know he was there with his collared shirt with the logo.
Well, I think they have a hall named after Jerry. I think Jerry's real.
They were
big
both
with
in
that
attendance
university.
there.
Yeah.
They were both in attendance. All right, who we have up next as far as the Prospect Watch? Who we have, Bree? We go to our buddy, my guy, Jeremiah Fears, man. What's he doing? The game is ongoing right now. 46-45. It's a close one. I haven't seen any box scores. Do you know what he's doing right now?
No idea.
No idea? Got to check in to see what
I've been trying to watch a little bit of the Illinois game, but I've been distracted by the show that we are doing ourselves. For the most part, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch all of these tomorrow.
All right, so I'm just going to check in. 46-45. Fears right now leading the team in scoring. 15-4-4 right now. For Fears, once again, he has jumped into that top 10 as a 6'4" guard, can score, willing passer. Got 4 assists right now. folks, if you're watching, let us know what's going on, but they're only down 1.
And I will say, if you're hearing these names and you're like, I'm not really up on these, we talked about both of these guys. When was our off-day show this week?
That was Wednesday. So we were Tuesday.
Tuesday's show, we talked about both of these guys quite a bit. So go check that out if you haven't.
Jeremiah Fierce, dynamic guard, folks. Dynamic guard, young. Like, they're all 18, but young.
Yeah.
Young.
Like, he was 17, like, when training camp started.
Yeah. And Boots says Fierce is having a good second half. So there you go with that one. And also, just as he's doing good right now, John Peace. What up, Peace? Peace says, Tears for Fears. I love it. The old group. Tears for Fears. Yep. Yes. Love it. Love it. And finally, Derek is taking a peek at this particular game right now just because of research. Research for this segment. The X. The Musketeers.
Well, more Illinois.
More Illinois because we want to see what Yabusele is doing. What's going on right now with Yabusele?
They're up pretty comfortably. Okay. I haven't really gotten a chance to focus in too much on him. But he is one of those players that I'm interested in. I think there's a clear top 4 in this draft. Even if I'm not a big Ace Bailey fan, getting in that top 4 gives you a real chance to get somebody I think is going to be a real good piece on his team. After that is when it gets a little bit dicey. And Kasparis is one of those guys that's in that mix. I am probably more intrigued by, like, right now, I think he is in my top 5. I think there's a lot of concern with how he will translate, and I get some of that. Not really offensively. Like, offensively, I think he's got enough of a threat of a shot, enough of a threat, quite frankly, to just, whip a pass one-handed where you have to be keyed in on him at all times. And I think he will find ways to, take advantage of that shot and get in the paint and make plays out of there. Defensively is where I'm a little bit concerned. Does he have the lateral foot speed to really defend at a, not even a high level, but a passable level? That's something you can really focus in on. But he has so much creativity with the ball, whether that's as a shooter. And the shooting numbers aren't going to be great because he takes a lot of tough, contested step-back threes. Mm-hmm. But as a shooter and really as a playmaker, like, he is just incredible at changing speeds, changing direction, and being able to see passing lanes that others don't. Like, he's got real good timing, whether it's a dump-off pass, whether it's a kick-out, whether it's looking over the defense and making that skip pass. He's just got a lot of creativity. And if there's one player among this group, because for the most part, there's not a lot of elite passers out of this group, really anywhere. Like, he's the best out of anyone in the top 6 or 7. He's by far the best passer. And when you start talking about making the most out of, like, Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain, he's the one player. Now, I think there's a lot of concern defensively if you pair him with McCain and Maxey. But in terms of getting the most out of your 2 cornerstone guards, I think his skill level can really help them be better. 12 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists so far. And I think somebody said, because they were paying attention, that he had like 4 turnovers, I think, so far. He does turn the ball over. He does. And part of that is he will
Attila said it. 4 turnovers, 2 for 7 passes, from the floor.
But also part of it is that he will just let himself get trapped at times, and in ways that he shouldn't, and in ways that he will probably get better at. He is a good 6'4", 6'5", so he should be able to see over some of that as he matures and gets better. But he definitely makes some mistakes. And he can get stripped too off the dribble.
But also when we said flag earlier, not worried about necessarily his game, you do kind of have to pay attention to these because they're like 9-8 games.
Right.
These are real competition for them. So you can look at them. You don't want to make too much of it if he has a bad game, but you also don't want to react if he has a good game. But these games are important because these are the ones that are worried about moving on. Oklahoma against UConn, probably going to lose this game. I would like to see Fears, though, advance so we can see him once again beyond this UConn team and see what he does.
At least with the UConn. And I don't think like McNeely would be someone that you target in the top 6. But like if you trade down or you get like he's at least an archetype that would fit on the team. Yeah. Even if maybe the talent isn't high level, like he could fit.
Yeah, he absolutely has good size as a wing player for UConn. He has good size overall. So those are our guys for Tank Watch. We appreciate it. We're going to continue to do this. We'll probably update it as we go along. By the way, Jay of the Jungle, great super chat. Thank you. 10 out of 10 with Tank again. I love it. 10 out of 10 would Tank again. All right, make sure you go read at allphly.com. And we got a little overtime here. Make sure you continue the conversation at allphly.com. We thanked everybody for joining us there on the Fast channel. Join us all here the rest of the way at allphly.com. And Nona says UConn is up by 3 now over Oklahoma. So they're probably going to win that basketball game. I just need Fear selfishly to have a good game.
Yeah.
All right. One more, and then we get to the world-famous roll call. Let's get to the Tankathon spin for the night. The daily Tankathon spin.
I forgot about that.
For the night.
All right.
Last time out, Derek got the number 1.
I think.
All right, so you had the number 1 overall pick this week, the 4th overall pick.
And I think we missed once this week, too.
And we missed one.
We won't talk about ever again.
We don't talk about that one, but let's see what we do for the 4th spin of the week for Tankathon spin. How far? Like 8 again? 7. Oh, right out of it. All right.
Second one was 7, too. Third one was 2.
All right.
Took 3 spins, but I got you the 2 pick.
Little Dylan Harper?
Yeah, of course.
Paul Paz says, why do you want those Rutgers losers?
I mean, because they're good basketball players.
Call him Markelle Fultz. I'm just saying.
Markelle Fultz didn't fail in the NBA because he lost games in college. He failed in the NBA because his jump shot freaking disappeared.
I agree. Yeah, but just saying.
I mean, it's gonna get weird with some of this NIL stuff. Like, great prospects will go to bad teams.
Yes, they will.
If you're just gonna have to try to scout that and overcome that.
They throw them the money, they're gonna go. By the way, Jeremiah Fears 18 points right now, but they are trailing 52-50 with just a little over 7 minutes to play in the game. Let's get to the world famous roll call.
All right, we'll start it off with our super chatters. Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats. Riaz.
Davon.
And at the last minute there, Jay of the Jungle.
Riaz, Jay, what up? Thank you.
Also want to give a shout out to DC Marley, Bootzilla.
Boots.
Winona and Jess.
Hey, Nona, Jess.
Phil Evans, Neil Deaver, Redeem ZX, Seth F.
Redeemed, yeah. All right. What up?
Vincent Pellegrini. I shouldn't have even said it. Sal, Kyle Wright.
Hey, Sal.
Hope you get your Walker Kessler, buddy. John Peace.
John.
Triune Worshipper. I think that's a new one. I don't think I've seen that one before.
Yeah.
Money Mar, X-Man, I Gavini.
What up, X?
AC Philla.
What up, Mar?
Rich P.
What up, Rich?
Brian Knight.
B Knight.
Stuart London.
Like Stu.
Better Love Somebody.
Better love somebody, love somebody, love somebody.
Attila De Hungry. Framed McRib.
McRib used to be really good. I don't eat it anymore.
I haven't had one in
but it was
a long
really
time.
good when I was growing up.
Okay.
It was really good.
Rose
It
Nyland.
was a treat. Hey, Rose.
The 2-minute warning.
What up, Al?
Mom's grandchildren.
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Let's see. Anyone that I missed here. Did I say Neil? Did I say Neil?
You did
Deaver?
say Neil. What up, Neil?
I didn't say Neil. Let me scroll up here at the bottom. I was taking notes throughout because I know Kyle likes to, he kind of over indexes on people who mention at the end. I try to get the people at the beginning too, but I think that's all I'm seeing.
We fit everybody in on a Friday night, and we thank you. Make sure you go like and subscribe to the show.
Bree had to put up with a lot of pop every time. Devon and I were a little bit on a heater here tonight. We both set personal records, not to pat ourselves on the back too much, but we were, anytime there was a stoppage of play, we were at that Papa Shot machine, and Bree had to put up with it. So give it a like to thank Bree for having to put up with us, because it really, really is tough.
It's going to be in her head even when she goes to sleep.
Papa Shot.
Exactly.
We need to get that on the soundboard.
Oh, no doubt.
She can let
Bree and I
everybody
already
else know.
talked about that. So, yeah, that's happening.
We have off tomorrow. Enjoy your college basketball. We will be back here on Sunday.
So make sure you hit the like button, and make sure when you do, it'll sound like this to alert you that the show is upcoming. Our show tonight, as always, is presented by Bet365. Make sure you download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 64% boost at Bet365 for the college games. Jump on there, take advantage. We will be back on Sunday, 6 o'clock game, 5:30 pregame. We'll all be back with you. Thank you, Bree. Thanks, Derek. Thanks, Kyle, for checking in. Probably in there in chat somewhere. Thank all of you for hanging out with us on this Friday night. Enjoy your Friday. Have a blast on Saturday. Stay cool. We'll talk to you on Sunday right here on the PHLY Sixers Postgame show or pregame show presented by Bet365. Good night.
We all silly like the mayor.